I am so glad to be back in Fresno today, and it's a very exciting day, which is that we are able to launch and publicly share some work that has been the product of a lot of the best and brightest minds in our country focused on what we want to do and what we need to do to bring technology to California law enforcement. And I couldn't be more proud of the men and women of the California Department of Justice who have been tireless in their work and have been so committed and committed to a number of things that includes a commitment to innovation. What you're about to hear is the work that is absolutely about understanding what can be, even though it hasn't been done before. And I want to specifically thank, of course, Fresno Police Chief Jerry Dyer, great friend, but also I want to thank Larry Wallace, the Director of the Division of Law Enforcement. I want to thank Joe Dominic, the Director of California Justice Information Services, also known as CJIS. Jerry Engler, who is the Chief Assistant Attorney General and the head of our Criminal Division. Robert Morgister, who is the head of our E-Crime Unit. Alyssa Mayo, the Chief of the Bureau of Forensic Services. Delia Heredia, who is the Lab Manager at our Fresno Bureau of Forensic Services Lab. Tim Whitfield, with our Office of Digital Investigations. Chris Lee, with our Digital Evidence Program at the Bureau of Forensic Services, and Megan Sato with our Litigation Support Program. And again, I cannot say enough how the hard work and the incredible creative work and committed work that you all have done is truly a game changer in terms of what we in law enforcement can do in this state and as a model for law enforcement in the country. So I just want to lead an applause. I know it's a press conference, but I'm just going to do it. Let's just... Really, fantastic. So let's talk about technology. The way that we think about it is, there was creation of fire, and then the wheel, and then electricity, and this. It's an absolute game changer. It has changed the way people live, it has changed the way people work, and it has changed the way people commit crime. And so the California Department of Justice decided that we were going to take on adoption of technology by law enforcement. And to that end, starting in 2011, we did it in a number of ways that included not only the support we could give to local law enforcement, but also how we could integrate our adoption of technology and the skills that are involved so that we can translate that to our fact-finding processes, to our investigations, and also to our prosecutions. We adopted a priority for technology as it relates also to one of the big issues that is highlighted with all of the technology that exists, which is contrasting that and the ease and the joy of having technology with the right that we all have, as outlined in California's Constitution, to privacy. So to that end, in 2011, in the California Department of Justice, we created the E-Crime Unit, which is focused on crimes that are committed through technology. And we created in 2012 the Privacy and Protection Unit, focused on what we need to do to be vigilant in making sure that Californians' privacy is not being compromised in a way that would be against all of the protections we have outlined in the law. And so the work that we have done has been that. It has been the work of understanding that technology has been as transformative in terms of the way we live and work as the Industrial Revolution was 200 years ago. And so we needed to really get a jump start and focus on this issue. So here's what we have done in particular. Not only did we create the E-Crime Unit and the Privacy Enforcement and Protection Unit, we also adopted technology in a way that applied to the work that we have traditionally done in terms of DNA. And I want to make a point there. Bill Lockyer, a former Attorney General of California, 20 years ago, had the foresight and the vision to say, hey, there's this new thing that's hit the streets that can help us solve crime. But it involves science, and it's called DNA. And so the California Department of Justice, again being a model for the country and under his leadership, said we're going to create crime labs up and down the state, supplying local law enforcement with the scientific expertise that is necessary so that when they collect evidence, it can be tested for DNA, which will help us solve crimes, help prosecutors get the conviction in court, and also help defense attorneys if their client is in fact innocent. California led the way 20 years ago on DNA. That was a model for us in 2011, saying let's look at what Lockyer did, what our office did that many years ago with DNA, and let's do the same thing in terms of digital forensics. So we did a number of things. We adopted technology in a way that created the DNA service team around rapid analysis of DNA, and that was about basically adopting technology to help us speed up our ability to test DNA from evidence that's acquired. We created the Justice Mobile Initiative that essentially was a mobile app that we created for cops on the street so they could use their smartphone to have direct access to CLETS, to the information that we maintain in the California Department of Justice around criminal histories in terms of suspects. And then most recently we launched Open Justice, which of course is the first open data initiative of a Department of Justice anywhere in the country, and then followed up on that with the creation of URSIS, which is a data collection tool for law enforcement, giving them the technological expertise they need to actually collect the data that will then be reported to our office so we can share it with the public in the spirit of transparency in terms of law enforcement. So all of that leads us to the announcement we have today, which is the launching of C4. And C4, we have named it C4 for shorthand, but it is the California Cybercrime Center, a new initiative within our office. And essentially, C4 is designed to help California law enforcement, bringing everything together that is involved in the criminal justice system. And that includes what we need to do to support local law enforcement around collection of evidence, what we can do to support local law enforcement around analysis of evidence that has been collected, what we can do in terms of the forensic work that is necessary, and in particular when we're talking about digital evidence, to deconstruct and then reconstruct evidence that we have collected. And it is about the work of training local law enforcement so that they will have the skills within their own departments to do this work, and training and assisting local prosecutors' offices so they will have the expertise that is necessary to present a case before a jury. In addition, we are supplying local DA's offices with the information that is necessary for them to actually present the case to the jury around the technological piece so that the jury can understand exactly what went into the analysis of the evidence. So there are 5 components to, or actually 4 components to C4. 5. I said 4, I meant 5. One is the Cyber Accelerator. The Cyber Accelerator is basically, it's our version of R&D, of research and development. So the accelerator is where the various divisions of our office who are working on digital evidence can come together in one place and then explore new ideas and innovation. It's something the private sector does quite well. Silicon Valley does it quite well. Well, guess what? The California Department of Justice is doing it too. So we created an accelerator. We also, second, created a digital forensics training protocol. So since 2011, through our Bureau of Forensic Sciences, we have been, and services, we have been training local law enforcement on the tools that they need to be able to actually capture evidence, secure the evidence, and then make it available for testing. 3, we have been providing and have created a whole focus on technical consultation for network security. So local law enforcement is not immune to the concern any one of us have about our privacy and the security of our data, in particular securing ourselves against the possibility of being hacked. So part of what our focus is on in C4 is to train local law enforcement around how they can keep their data systems secure and safe. We will also be launching as part of this initiative what we can do to train local law enforcement on resiliency. So in the event, God forbid, their data systems are hacked, what we can do to help them get back up and running if there has been any breach of their systems. 4, we are focused on investigation and prosecution of cybercrimes. And so that, again, highlights the importance of the work that has been happening out of our e-crime unit, and the work that it does also to support local prosecutors' offices, local DA's offices. Last year alone, the e-crime unit opened 22 investigations, filed 23 complaints, got 44 convictions, and had an aggregate sentence of 728 months and $30 million in restitution. 5, another component of C4 is the Bureau of Forensic Services Digital Evidence Program, which we began to pilot in our state crime labs in 2011, and we are one of the first in the country to build up this capacity. And essentially what we do here is we are bringing digital evidence into accredited crime labs. So we are allowing, again, local law enforcement to have an accredited crime lab where their evidence can be analyzed. This did not exist before in this way. And again, we took a page out of Silicon Valley in saying, through our accelerator, let's come up with the best tools that are possible, even if they have not existed, that can support local law enforcement. To that end, we sent out surveys to local law enforcement. What do y'all need? And they told us we need support in figuring out how to deconstruct a cell phone, a laptop, mobile devices. We also need it in real time, they said. They said it needs to be accessible to us near the crime scene because the time and the geographic distance that otherwise is required to cover in order to get the stuff tested sometimes works against our investigation. So we came up with what you see behind us, the Cyber Response Vehicle, which we are calling CRV. I'm so excited about it, I can't contain myself. It's CRV. Do you get the gist on it, right? CRV, right? Okay, bad joke. So it's spectacular, and I hope you all get a chance to take a tour. And so essentially what it is we repurposed, so it didn't cost taxpayers a whole lot of money. We repurposed a mobile command vehicle and retrofitted it with state-of-the-art mobile technology and digital forensics. Basically, it's a mobile digital forensics lab. And it can go any and everywhere throughout our state to support local law enforcement. It will allow us to collect and process cyber evidence. And that relates to cell phones and servers and laptops and everything else that you can imagine. So in real time. And all of this, again, leads to the ultimate point. Cyber crime is occurring. It is very real. We know it presents one of the biggest threats to national security, and it presents one of the biggest threats to our personal security. So we in the California Department of Justice decided to get on this from the beginning and be a leader. And what we also have been determined to do is understand that it's not only about detecting it when it has occurred, these crimes when they have occurred. It's not only about collecting the evidence and analyzing it. It's also about ultimately holding wrongdoers accountable, which means prosecuting the crimes and making sure there will be serious and severe and swift consequence and accountability. And it is for that reason that I'm very proud of some of the work that we have been doing in the Department of Justice as it relates to the prosecutions that we have brought about. We created a specialization around cyber exploitation, and we prosecuted one of actually the first in the nation case of a cyber exploitation website operator, and that was in the case of You Got Posted and the defendant Kevin Bollert. They were defendants who were horribly victimizing predominantly women as victims and posting their images on a website and then extorting them to be able to take the photographs down. This was a groundbreaking case in terms of, again, the adoption of technology that allowed us to prosecute a very serious crime. And last week, of course, my office arrested the CEO of Backpage.com. Long time in coming. We're very proud of that. And essentially, we have alleged that that website was an online brothel. And part of what gave us the ability to actually get the warrant to have the guy arrested, and he's been now transported back to California so we can hold him accountable in a California courtroom. But it was the work of our e-crime unit together with the work of C4, being able to deconstruct how he did his crime through technology. So very important and great work. And in closing, I just want to end where I started, which is to congratulate our team for the most important work that can be done, which is the work of really putting innovation in place around all that we have taken a mission to do, which is to make sure that vulnerable and voiceless people will have a voice and that they will be protected. So I want to thank everyone here. Thank you. And Jerry Dyer, the police chief of Fresno.
Thank you. It's my honor, truly it is, to be standing next to the Attorney General, somebody I consider to be a personal friend and a professional friend. She, since the day she took office, has stayed in close communication with us, with California police chiefs, and so I count it a privilege to be able to stand here with her. I also want to talk about the importance of the relationship that we have with the Department of Justice, which is underneath the Attorney General's office. Delia is here, and we have had a long time professional relationship, and they have been so responsive to all of our needs in Fresno. You heard the Attorney General talk about the evolution of innovation in society and where we have come. Well, there is an evolution of criminal activity that has occurred, and the newest evolution is that of cybercrime. Whether it is cyber crimes against the elderly, cyber crimes against children, the exploitation of children, or cyber crimes committed by gang members as part of their organized crime effort to facilitate some of their financial gain. We have been very, very fortunate to have the Department of Justice here in Fresno. We have relied on them historically for the processing of evidence and the analysis of evidence for drugs, for obviously DNA, as well as ballistics. And this is another step in terms of the analysis of digital information. We know that time and time again out in the community, when a criminal act has occurred, oftentimes it is facilitated by the use of technology, whether that be a cell phone or a computer. And we also know that when an incident occurs in Fresno, a crime is committed, or whether that is an officer-involved shooting or any other type of incident that occurs, oftentimes it's captured on an iPhone video or a smartphone. For us to be able to have the ability out in the field to download that data to our officers is critical, and that is how it helps us in local law enforcement to be more efficient and, quite frankly, to be more effective at our job. I can tell you that in terms of the social media that we see today, the impact that alone has had on law enforcement. Recently in Fresno, as we experienced across California and the nation, there have been a tremendous number of threats that have been made over social media, threats for individuals to come up on school campuses or other public facilities and to commit violence. And the problems that causes us in law enforcement, and the importance of us being able to track down who is behind that threat, that posting. And we utilize, quite frankly, the Department of Justice frequently to assist us with those measures. The ability to go out into a location where a search warrant is served, and we know that there are computers on site, and for this lab to be able to respond to that search warrant location and to be able to download some of the information from those computers that would assist our investigators immediately is far better than us seizing those computers, taking them to a lab, and then having that work done. So I want to applaud the Attorney General for everything she has done for Fresno and everything that the Department of Justice Lab continues to do for the citizens of this community. We rely on them heavily. We do not have the capability locally to do so many of these things, and just having a lab right here in our backyard is an incredible benefit to the citizens of Fresno, who I think oftentimes overlook the importance of that. So I just want to say thank you, and we will commit to this ongoing partnership. Thank you.